Welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today. So tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Hoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week it is the October Gold Hoarder episode, which means I'm going to be sitting down with some of the Gold Hoarders to talk about season 17's Act 3. We are not going to be going into any kind of spoilers for Lottie's request, but that is something that we're going to need to talk about. So if you have not done that, you might want to do that because there's only so much time before I feel like we really need to talk about it. So I'm giving you one more episode. This is your final warning. You need to get out there and get into Sea of Thieves and get that knocked out. Otherwise, you might have to skip some stuff next episode because I'm definitely going to be jumping into it. So with that being said, pirates, let's get into it. But before I get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They are the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast to support this episode and be part of this episode. That's right. The $10 captain tiers are the folks that have the opportunity to be in the Gold Hoarder channel in the Discord. They get the notification that they actually get to join up for the episode. Once a month, I do this community episode. So you can hear from community members who are actually playing the game that their opinions on what's going on in Sea Thieves is either good or bad. It's totally up to them, and it's also up to them on what they want to talk about. So it's a good opportunity for you to share your thoughts and share your feelings about how the game is and just kind of get a good bead on what is going on in Sea of Thieves, not just from my perspective. So as always with every episode, I like to shout out the patrons who are supporting because it helps make this podcast easier to do just at a pure financial level, to be perfectly honest. So it's not required. It's always appreciated. So thank you to A Chick, L Cute, Balls, Blue Turtle V1, Captain Chonky, Captain Longsharts, Chateau New, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Crazy Frog, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Godhammer 6, Carl Embo of Embo Family Gaming, Hylia the Aficionado, Elvin Vramir, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Oars, Xbox Mike 29, Rabid Raccoon, Registella the Brony Pirate, Ribloid, Rustbelt Kid, Sea Leg Sam, Shoe Daddy 13, Skamelt 666, Tales of the Sea, The Demon Jester, Tommy D, TN Professor, Wailing Witch, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Egger Owl, Jeff H, Captain Duckweed, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Luke Lore the Insipid Ghost, and Zam. Wow. Thank you all so much for your love, for your support. It really does help here. And even for the folks that I don't get to talk to on a regular basis, I just want to say it's been nice seeing you guys hop up in Discord, whether it's my Discord or someone else's Discord. It's kind of nice seeing some folks hang out with some community members as a big family. Love to see that. So hope you're all having a fantastic rest of your week and start to this new week. Welcome everyone to the October 2025 episode of Keelhauled podcast. It is the Gold Hoarder episode this week, and as always, I am sitting down with a wonderful cast of crew who are all characters in their own right as we sit down to talk about Act 3 of Season 17. Now, I've been covering this for quite a bit. You've been listening to the patch notes and my thoughts, and we're still going to hold off on any spoilers for Lottie's request. That is a fantastic thing for you to go experience. It is something that you can do in high seas. It's something you can do in safer seas, but it is definitely something you should do. As we found out, and one of the podcast episodes that came out from Sea of Thieves, that they are starting to get back into narrative. They are starting to get back into story. But before we get into any of that, I have to break down who's actually here and what topics we're going to be covering. So first on the docket is going to be A Chick. A Chick, how you doing? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I think we had some food, so I'm still digesting, but good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And next up, we've got Godhammer. How you doing, Godhammer?
I'm all right on this fine Saturday.
Fantastic. Glad to have you. Next up, we've got Carl Embo of Embo Family Gaming. How you doing, Carl?
Doing very well, thank you. Hope you're all well.
Fantastic so far. Next up, we've got Regis Stella. Regis, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Currently a Sunday on a 7:11 a.m. 4 degrees Celsius, mind you, and it's pretty good day today. It just my nephew's birthday was birthday party was yesterday, so I'm in a bit of a mood for some goodness today.
Well, we'll definitely help provide that. I am still surprised it is that cold this late into your winter, though.
It's not winter, it's spring now. Supposedly.
Is it?
Sometimes it's spring, sometimes it's weather in Tassie never makes up its mind.
4 degrees Celsius is pretty cold in my book. Next up, we've got sorry, Regis. Next up, we've got Sea Leg Sam. Sam, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. A bit tired, a bit angry, but I'll tell you about that later.
Okay, all right. Well, we all, if you need some therapy for stuff that happened on the seas, we can help out with that for sure. I think it's like around 9 p.m. your time on Saturday.
Yeah, around that time. Can't be bothered to check.
Fair enough. All right, Pirates. Well, this episode, as always, is dedicated to the community members. I always like to hear your thoughts and feelings on how the season's been going. And we've just recently had the Reaper Fortresses come out in full force. I feel like a lot of folks have been hunting for them. I feel like a lot of folks have been trying to find them. I myself have had zero luck actually getting to do one on high seas. All of the ones that I've been able to do are all on safer seas. And it's really just come down to me happening to show up with my crew at the end of one where we steal everything. And at that point, it's like, well, I didn't really get to experience it, but what I have experienced on safer seas, I would imagine would be very fun in high seas if I ever got there ahead of time. But I wanted to open it up to you all and kind of see if anyone wants to jump in to talk about their experiences, or more in point, is the Reaper Fortress a good revision to the Skeleton Fort? Should they have done it? Does it feel fun? Are you enjoying it? Should they have done something better, or is this perfect?
All right, I'm going to chime in quickly. So I think I've mentioned this before. I love fighting at forts. It's my favorite thing to do. Whether you're shooting from the boat or you're shooting from the fort, you just get that interaction, whether it's multiple boats or just a couple boats. I love the events, but I also don't like that they're stealing from other world events to support a new event. I wish they would split up the loot throughout all of the other events to keep people doing them. I know that this act is only for a month, and I know that they're going to keep the new fort in, but I'm hoping that they do spread out the loot to make people doing the other world events and make it worth it for everybody.
When you're talking about the loot, are you referring to more than just like the chest of fortunes?
Yeah, for example, the Fort of the Damned, they took out Reaper chests, and the Reaper chests are still not back in the Fort of the Damned. So people are doing the Fort of the Damned to get the commendations for it, but nobody's going to fight over it anymore because it's not worth it. The new forts are currently worth it because people want all the loot and all of the trinkets to get, towards their commendations. So I'm hoping moving forward, they add loot and add high tier loot to some of these world events to keep people doing them instead of just stealing from other world events to make one event worth it.
Gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate the clarity on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I know Sam and Carl, you guys had opened up the mics. Either one of you want to jump in? Carl?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, Chick. But the issue is, I think it actually works a little bit better them having a lot of loot in one particular world event at a time, purely because if it's spread across everything, I feel like people will only go to the ones that they're comfortable with. Whereas currently the only way to get the car is to go for this new fort. So it kind of like pulls the attention onto it. Saying that, it is very much desperately needed that the other events all need better loot regardless. The Fort of the Damned is desperate for some love. The only thing they've done to it recently was obviously they had a season where the cough was in there, and well, people just farmed them in the end. But I've never seen so many Fort the Dams as I did when the cough was in there, which shows that the demand's just not there anymore because the loot's just not worth it. It'd be great to see some more specific high value loot go to the likes of the Ghost Fleet, for example, because most people tend to skip past that, even though you get Wraith Balls, which are quality items for PvP. Same with the Ashen Winds event. But regarding this event, I'm really happy that they've actually gave the fort some love. My only downside is they've not done anything with Molten Sands, because to me, I feel an event like this would be absolutely ideal for Molten Sands, where there's a lot more going on, a lot higher tier loot. It'll bring some love to the Raw, which is much needed. But I've been really enjoying the event, though. There's been so much activity around every fight. Either 2 or 3 ships usually are coming in. You have people tucking on them again, but there needs to be some sort of there needs to be a way of saying what's a dive and what's not, because when we dive to it, it all looks the same as if you just go to it normally, but the loot is a lot less. So I had a fight for an hour and a half with a galleon and a brig and a sloop briefly as well, and someone hit the key. We took our time finding the key, only to find out that it was just an Athena trinket, which was quite disappointing, I'm not going to lie, but it's good that it's bringing the people in to fight. So in all, I really enjoy it, but they definitely need to give some love to the other events for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm really saying is don't rob from one event to support the other event. You know what I mean? Keep the Reaper chest and the Fort of the Damned. Don't take them out to support the smuggler regular events. You know what I mean? Just
Yes,
keep it so
100%.
other
Same with the
people who
cough.
aren't doing the new forts, you know, because there's people that aren't going to do them because they don't want a PvP, but you're taking from them during this time period. So I'm just hoping moving forward that they make that change.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It's such as the FOF. Currently, there's no real reason to do the FOF unless you're doing Athena stuff.
Correct,
But,
yep.
as I said with the Fall Damned, I think they need a whole revamp on it. Now, whether we're going to see some world changes again coming up soon, hopefully with a few hints which have been gone on, I'm hoping we'll see more of that. See the damn stuff coming through as well, and maybe even put it back to Old Big Fort and take over another area. You know, hopefully we'll see some sort of change with that where the loot does become better, because it's much needed. But yeah, taking the Reaper chest from the Fall of the Damned's not the best move, and in my opinion, taking the cough away from the Fort of Fortune is the same.
Go ahead, Sam.
Can I just add one thing? I like what they've done with the weapon stashes and the broad variety of what they've got in that. What I dislike about it is the kegs that they've got in there, the Black Betties, the fuses are too long on them. By the time you might have tried to get a Skelly Captain in there to try and complete a wave quickly, and then started to detonate the keg. From the time that you start to run away and run back into the fort or wherever you're going, the Skelly Captain will have followed you, so it doesn't affect them as much. They only get like that blast radius that goes around the area of where it detonated. So I like what they've done and how it's all themed together, but maybe adding a normal keg that would have a slightly shorter fuse on it, and therefore lighting that would make a whole chain reaction, and it'd be a lot quicker than having to eventually give yourself up to kill this one skeleton dude.
I could see that. I think the trouble that I run into then is if you have, because from my perspective, I generally don't have too much trouble finding kegs on a regular fort. I feel like you can generally find those. I think if you had the Black Betty with a shorter fuse, that in that case is less time that you have to get away from it, which would defeat the point of running away from it. So I feel like those are ones where if I'm going to use a Black Betty, I generally have the mentality from a Mad Max movie where I will be honored in the halls of Valhalla, and that sacrifice will be for the sake of the commendation.
Yeah, and I see your point as well. It's just that I was doing some testing today, just seeing what I could do, what kind of damage I could actually do, and it just appeared to me that everything in the fort is well laid out. Like the traps are pretty well laid out. I couldn't find a handle for the lever for one of the traps, but that's another matter. But it's really well laid out. The forts that's my only concern, is that the fuse is a little bit too short. But I can see where you're coming from as well, where that you have to have time to run away as well.
I do like the idea of the danger inherent with the Black Betties. It is a trade-off, and I think to Carl and Chick's points here, it is always interesting to think about the reasonings behind things, because I also think that taking loot from other world events deters the completion of those other world events. And if you're trying to push other world events to try and get a natural Reaper Fortress to spawn, it feels bad that you're having to effectively waste time working on world events that are not only going to guarantee that the next one will be a Reaper Fortress, but also the loot is less because it's just there's no value to it outside of that, which kind of takes me back to the idea that I think Godhammer, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we have conversations about the idea in one of the Gold Hoarder sessions where I think it was during like the mega vaults, where the idea of a cough being a chance to spawn in a vault once it's opened was something that would maybe like add a bit of flavor to all of the world events if there was a chance that one could happen.
Yeah, that was around the time that they closed up the floor so you couldn't see through it.
Yeah.
To see which loot was sitting inside of the thing. And I think that's a good thing. I would like that. Yeah, honestly, a chance to have like a sort of a stash spawn in any world event would be fun. It would have to be a really small chance though. But just enough that, it makes it worth going after somebody who's doing it to get the spice.
Yeah, I think because I think Carl, I think you bring up a strong point in the world event events that people don't really flock to. Personally, for me, I love going to Ashen Winds' world events because they've been so trivial now with like the throwing knives and stuff. Like it's just so easy to pump out DPS, and generally most of the islands that we go to that have an Ashen Winds generally has like a Black Betty from one of the smuggler washed up treasure. It's already just become infinitely easier to take out an Ashen Winds. But to your point, the Flameheart Ghost Voyage or world event is generally ignored. A lot of people don't go there, and the Wraith Balls are a good bit of incentive for that, but obviously not enough. So potentially having stuff from the Reaper's Fortress or the Fort of the Damned, like the possibility of having some Reaper chests or Reaper bounties show up in and amongst the loot, where there's also a chance of a chest of fortune showing up in that world event, might actually have people go out and actually try to do it, as opposed to just waiting the 30 minutes or whatever it is for that world event to despawn. Regis, you've been quiet. I wanted to give you an opportunity. You've been playing the game a long time. How do you feel the loot table is for the world events? Do you feel like them taking stuff out of one to move it to kind of, because I mean, we've been around, man. Like Rare always seems to do this. They always seem to try and push people to do one thing, and if they rob from one event to give to another, they're okay because they want the interaction. But from your perspective, would you rather be doing Fort of the Dams for the Reaper chests while everyone else is doing Fort of the Reaper Fortresses?
Depends if you want to go for the hassle, getting the colored land lights for the flames and the. Or nowadays you could use the skull of Destiny. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. But like maybe people want to do like the hot new thing before it becomes like a part of the rotation of the world events. Because again, like what Falcor said, like before this world event was released, like Captain Falcor said something along the lines of, "Oh, there needs to be a sort of incentive to do this event beyond just new shiny thing. Let's go do that," and realize it's just the same but better. But like loot incentive, accommodation incentive, or just anything incentive kind of thing. Like I think the chest of fortune being there is like an incentive to do this event for those who might be just a little bit curious of doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Have you gotten a chance to go try one of these out either on high seas or safer seas yet? I can't recall. We were talking just before the start recording.
No, I haven't. No, but mainly because I wasn't in the mood for Sea of Thieves recently, so don't nag on me to play Sea of Thieves. It has to be on my terms, all right, mate? Please.
Yeah, well, when you do, definitely get back to me when you get a chance to check them out, because I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Having been around forever and playing the game and knowing what they are, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts whenever you get around to trying one out.
Yeah, I will.
For my part, I think that the forts have done a fairly good job of revitalizing the original skeleton fort. It feels like the way they've designed the skeleton fort, even with the addition of the ghost ship waves, there's enough change up in what's going on with the skeleton fort that it feels more interesting just as a base level of a world event. Because I think that at the end of the day, the skeleton fort themselves had been pretty dull. Originally when they came out, it was fantastic. It was like waves of skeletons and then a captain, and that was it. They went and refreshed it with the skeleton lords, and it felt more interesting. This feels really fun. I really love the traps that they've built into each of the forts. I like that there's an exterior threat beyond just people that comes in the sense of the ghost ships. Like you have to, like I've been running around with the grapple gun because it's so much easier to get to and from one of the cannon towers from the main island when that wave appears. And then while the ghosts and the skeletons are fighting each other, I can at least go and try to manage the 3 ships that appear, double check the ship to make sure that my ship hasn't taken too much damage. And then by the time I come back, the skeletons and the ghosts have kind of whittled their numbers down enough that it doesn't feel too bad. And kind of get back into it. So at least from my perspective, and I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on this, everyone. I think that this has been overall good design and good implementation on an update to an older event with loot that actually addresses some of the issues that have been in Sea of Thieves for a while. Gifts and humble gifts and generous gifts have been absent in the share of pool of loot that we've had for a very long time. And there's a lot of folks that have been really capitalizing working on these new fortresses to either get people to turn them in for you or to turn them in yourself and actually work on some commendations that have been in the game since very early on. And I really commend Rare for at least addressing that aspect of their game. Now they just have to go and actually kind of take a look at the loot pools for each event, because I think each event could start to take on some of the bits of loot that are harder to find in the game nowadays. So if you wanted to have a chest of fortune at a fort of fortune, maybe throw a box of wondrous secrets in there as well too. We just had that bug get fixed recently where everyone was finding them and stuff, and I didn't feel comfortable doing that. Carl, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just remembered something I wanted to add about these new forts as well.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting to see an event come together which involves us as pirates, Flameheart, and of course the Dark Brethren. And I wonder if that's a hint of what's to come. I'm assuming it's going to be like this throughout and after this update as well. But I do wonder what that's going to be leading up to, and I'm hoping there's going to be some sort of angle towards more lore perhaps coming our way to explain why the Dark Brethren is suddenly showing up at these Reaper forts.
I agree. I think that Rare has a plan in place and has decided that the Dark Brethren, I mean, it was the episode that I had with Mike. I can't remember if it was on the recording or not, but I know that the conversation around the Dark Brethren being absent for so long was noticeable in Sea of Thieves, especially given we had so much focus on them with the adventures. And then once the adventures came and went and they shifted over to the PlayStation 5 launch, which takes a lot of resources, and of course Monkey Island, we lost a lot of that kind of narrative that was coming in that included the Dark Brethren. So I do think that this is us getting back to the wheel of narrative and having them kind of make the turns that they need to get to the destination of telling the story that we're hoping to find out more about. I would be very happy to find out that we start getting the Dark Brethren as a reputation or a faction that we can invest in. I feel like the Athena's Fortune and the Reaper's Bones have long been the two kind of head-to-head factions in the Sea of Thieves. It would be kind of cool to have a third faction and actually have people that want to align themselves with Duke and the Warsmith and Amaranta to be able to help bolster the forces of the Dark Brethren. Anybody want to jump in with their thoughts as far as being able to have some more story or just in the sense that world events are actually starting to pull in multiple factions in the Sea of Thieves?
I wouldn't mind Athena's and Reaper NBCs to clash potentially.
Ooh, that'd be a cool one. I wonder how
showcasing the actual war between the Athena's Fortune and Reaper's Bones. Instead of just being us pirates, smashing our heads together, show the NBCs themselves, coming to blows, on forts, islands, anything.
I would love if Rare had the plan to revamp the Burning Blade so that while you're trying to take it over, you then have to deal with Athena Fortune ships that come in to try and stop you, maybe after you've taken it. Kind of in that sense that if during the smuggler's run, you had the painting on your ship and you would have the ocean crawlers pop up onto your ship from time to time. It'd be interesting to
during the heist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. If you had something like that where when you are in control of the blade, eventually ships will come after you that will be from the Athena's Fortune.
Yeah, that's one of the things I have in mind. I like that idea.
Anybody else have any factions or things that they'd love to see mashed up with the world events to kind of change up how those are designed, or is everyone kind of still kind of waiting to see what Rare's going to do?
When you have the captain waves of force and stuff like that, I think we should just have an army of CaptainLogans.
Ooh, would be cool. I'd be fine with that. Sam, did you have anything you wanted to jump into?
Yeah, I just had one, and I thought you were gonna. I didn't think anyone was gonna mention it. That's why I'm mentioning it now. But the bit I've been looking on a few social media platforms and a few different channels, and I've seen a lot related to that. Oh, what's it called? I'm trying to think for the life of me what it's called. It's like a Disney stick, but it's purple. So I'm just wondering now if anyone else has seen that or know what it is, because I've just seen it and not really paid attention to it.
Purple Disney.
It's something in Insiders currently.
Okay. Well, let's hold off on the insider talk for the time being.
Yeah.
Just so that folks, because there is a lot of stuff that's actually going on Insiders. I think I jumped in Insiders the other day and was absolutely decimated by cacophony of sound in the tavern that I was not expecting, and abruptly ran out screaming. So there's definitely a lot of cool stuff going on there. I just haven't really invested too much in.
Yeah. And also, no, it's gone. Never mind.
No worries. So I wanted to get a gauge on the season so far as a whole, because we had the podcast come out, and Rare interestingly made some interesting points about the latest survey that they had sent out back in season 16, which I remember taking, and I was kind of surprised that they actually decided to dive into the analytics. And Regis, you actually posted in Tavern Talk a fantastic breakdown of the different percentages for what some of the choices were for the most voted stuff. Do you have that handy, or do you want me to go over it, or would you like to?
I have it right now. I had to I knew you were going to talk about it, so I'm like, yeah. So the 5 things that was most voted for in terms of what players want in the CFEs itself. Number 1, new world regions and locations at 67.5%, which, considering that we've explored the same world for the nearly 8 years and it's been that long, yeah, might want to get some new locations at least. Number 2 is more narrative content at 58.7%, which, considering we've been staffed with content until recently, don't blame you. Number 3 is new ship types at 56.2%, which again makes sense. Same ships for 8 years now, almost 8 years. New world events, I think we got the new one covered, but don't mind a bit of variety at 53.3%. And the last one, number 5, is new sandbox tools and mechanics at 46.8%. So yeah, there you go.
Appreciate that. Good rundown. I wanted to open it up to everyone else. Right on the top of the list right there are world regions and locations. You've got narrative, new ship types, new world events, and then new sandbox tools and mechanics. I want to know from you all, because for me, I definitely feel like that falls in line with my desires for the future of Rare. Like if in Sea of Thieves, as far as my number 1 through 5, that would probably be exactly how I'd order it, which is probably why the numbers are responding so well to me. But for you all, is there one thing that you think should be a higher priority? Do you agree with this list, or is there something that they missed?
For me, I think it's focusing on Reaper. And I know that Carl talked about doing something with the Roar. And I'm curious to see what Rare's going to do in the future with that. I feel like any quality of life improvements should be a harpoon at Reaper or some way to turn into Reaper quickly, because I know a lot of people don't want to go and turn in all the loot. And I know like Logan, when we sail, I don't want to turn in all the loot and you do, but I think it goes back to Reaper. When you're manually turning in every single piece, you only want to turn in what's important. You want to move on. And I run Reaper a lot.
We got to run guild. Just run guild and it's solved.
I know. But you still got to go to Reaper with the new forts if you want to turn in the urn and the chests. So you still have to go there. But yeah, you can turn in the coffs and all of the Kraken pieces and, Hunter's Call pieces at any outpost. But Reaper has needed that lift in the game a little bit more than just bringing back the Reaper rowboats, which in turn, I love the Reaper rowboats. I'm glad that they brought those back and they're now in game. But the Roar really needs some help. I believe the Shores of Gold needs some help. That is a beautiful island that has been untouched other than a tall tale, and there's so much they could do with it. So I'm kind of hoping that's the future of the game.
Yeah, well, I just brought up the speaking of Reapers, from the big learnings that they've done, apparently there was a stronger last season. There was a stronger affinity for Reaper Phoenix Fortune than Reaper's Bones, say 64% to 36%. So it depends how people feel about Athenas or Reapers. Apparently there's a stronger affinity for Athenas last season, so I don't know.
Was it Athena?
I mean, I guess
it's in favor of Athenas for the big learning. Hang on, I'll bring up the website.
Yeah,
and I guess it depends on
the big learning.
Maybe Hourglass is a different concept or different perspective. But for me, being PvP adventure, I kind of feel Reapers is always the underdog.
See, I actually would disagree with that that. I feel like Reapers, at least from season 16, I felt like they did a pretty good job with giving them a decent refresh, at least from an Hourglass perspective. I've always thought that they need to go in and really kind of do something with, at least for Athena in Hourglass. I feel like the Ghost Curse is just so underwhelming once you've already earned it. The most you have is the Stranger's clothing, which is kind of their Reaper Bones aspect of it. But I don't think anyone wants that. I think more people would rather have different colored ghosts. From
in Hourglass, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with you 100% there. They need to make the Athena worth it for Hourglass. But Reaper in Adventure is still the underdog, in my opinion.
That's fair. Hammer?
I would say out of the list of the things that I saw, I think narrative content goes the highest for me. But what follows that isn't on the list for me, and that's gold sinks and things to do for the people who got most of everything done. That's purely selfish on my part, because that's where I find myself. But it is important to me.
You want your own pirate hideout, right? Just so you can just spend most of your cash on that hideout specifically.
I just want more things to do, or more things to work towards, because I'm running out.
Yeah.
The problems of an 8-year veteran pirate.
5-year. And given the amount of cops that I've raked in from this thing, I might not have cops to worry about that much longer either. But those are my two big things. Then I would say, I guess New World regions after that. Let's open up the Sea of the Damned. Let's make that a playable region.
I have always wanted them to utilize that portal system and justify those rocks that they've had in the in Sea of Thieves for so long now. Have that be a way for us to traverse to different zones. Or
do that thing
that you
it was
do?
around the time of, I think it was the last adventure, second last adventure, the Asha one, where they started to make like the wilds more like the Shores of Plenty.
Yes, Tasha's request and the Dark Constellation stuff.
Yeah, what if they just flipped around all the environment? That'd be weird and fun. Probably won't happen. That'd be weird and fun. I'd like that.
I could have swore that there was a reason why they were keeping the wilds the way it is. It's lost on me.
Memories.
How are they doing that? No, because nobody has memories. Nobody even remembers how Old Faithful, what its layout is, because they never go there. Nobody has memories of Old Faithful. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I know that it would be nice if we had stuff shift, because we've always talked about how like the Devil's Roar is underutilized, and the Shroud itself supposedly shifts. It would be nice if areas like the Shroud kind of moved up, or engulfed half of the Roar and the Ancient Isles, and then we get a new zone that's north of the Wilds, or in north of Tribute Peak, stuff like that. Like move the Shroud around to open up new locations, and then have that be like a bi-seasonal thing. Like every 6 months the Shroud shifts and you get new zones or new islands to go play around in for a certain amount of time. Carl, I've been talking. You got anything?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of talk about new areas and stuff like that, but I'm not too sure how much that'll actually benefit the game, considering the current ship cap is 6. I think if they were to open it up more, they would need to be increasing the cap to at least 10. As it stands right now, I can sail for quite some time without seeing another ship due to the diving mechanic. I could do a full lap of the whole server and not see a single ship, but I know there's ships there, because obviously I would get merged out otherwise. I think they need to find a fair balance between the size and the number of ships before they look at new areas. Now, the idea of removing areas is a good idea. However, you then also need to take into consideration the commendations which you'll be restricting. So things like certain... So I'm trying to think, which is it? Ashen Reaches or Devil's First that's got the lantern you need to light? It's one of those ones at the bottom. But if you move the Shroud up,
the beacons on that. Yeah. Well, that comes into the question. Like, should commendations get retired?
Well, time limit commendations is never a bad thing as far as I'm concerned. I quite like using my Friend of the Sea title, which is from something like 2001 and 2002. Never came back. Yeah. Same type of thing. You'll see sales which you'll never see and never be able to achieve. So I use the Good Boy sales from the arena days, and I know that, well, I hope that they'll never just come into like the Emporium or something like that. I do like that, but I think they definitely need to get the balance right on the servers, because since they added the dive mechanic, it does feel emptier, and that's without expanding into new areas yet. However,
Hear me out. So the Sea of the Damned concept I have, you go through a portal, and then you're put into a separate server that is just the Sea of the Damned region, and you make it like the size of just one region, like Shores of Plenty or Ancient Isles, and it's ultra concentrated. The loot's really good. There's only one outpost, and you have 6 ships on it, and you just make that a high risk, high reward single server that you can choose to jump into to go in, get big rewards, clash with other players in one region, and then when you want out, you just sail out. 2 portals on either side of the region to escape from. Only one outpost, that sort of thing.
It's funny you should say that, because what I was literally about to say was they could always do what they did with the Tavern of the Damned adventure, where you had Sea Dog's Tavern in the Sea of the Damned, and people could sail into the portal and be spawned in there. It's a very similar kind of thing to that, which, to be honest, it's probably easier just putting Arena back in, but I think something like that would be really cool. And to see the islands, like the actual proper islands, but Sea of the Damned version. So obviously, Fort the Damned is from Sea of the Damned. It's Oldby Fort, but from the other side. It'd be really cool to see, you know, Thieves Haven in the Sea of the Damned, Smuggler's Bay, such a beautiful island. What would that look like in the Sea of the Damned? Marauder's Arch will look exactly the same anyway, so that's by the by. But I think that'd be very fascinating. I think that'd be a really good idea.
If only there was if only there was like a time of year where bringing in an island for a time limited period to look like it's from the Sea of the Damned. If only we had like a month or so that we could have that really showcased and have it fit. That'd be cool.
I mean, so that's what you could do if you did go through the portal for the wilds, rather than going to See the Damned, you get the actual normal versions that they teased with the adventure that you mentioned earlier with the Briggsy. We actually get it flipped the other way. I think that might have some room to go. Definitely.
So different version of Sea of Thieves because of the portals that keeps things fresh. People can kind of choose to go in there from like the start of the game, or would they have to actively go in once they've actually gotten into the game?
I guess it depends how competitive you want to make it realistically. You can have it where people have to vote in to do it because it's more like a PvP kind of area.
Yeah.
Or you do have it, you gotta be careful you don't separate it too much though, because I feel like if you lose that connection between the two, you'll have people who only have a vote to go into the Sea of the Damned version or the normal version. Whereas, I mean, I guess you have that problem anyway, because they'll just load into the normal game and then portal in. So
yeah, that's the trick.
There's definitely legs. There's definitely legs for it.
It would be interesting. I think it'd be a good way to kind of spruce things up. I think it would be really interesting if Hourglass actually did that, as opposed to what they're currently doing, which is leaving things up to chance and adventure. And the only reason I even bring that up is because I think that for a lot of people, most people probably do Hourglass as a dive and not as something where they are waiting to be dove upon. And I think if most people are diving to Hourglass, then why not just kick them out to an interesting location in the Sea of the Damned or something like that? It would indicate like, hey, this is where you're done. And that way, when you win, you aren't beholden to whatever weird PvE thing could spawn on you or getting third partied. It would be a true head-to-head competition taking place in the Sea of the Damned. And then when you're done, you scoop up the stuff that they had, and then you sail back in through the portal, and you can either go turn in or you can go right back into the Sea of the Damned fight.
Some of my most memorable wins have been as a result of being third partied. I kind of don't mind it. I find that part of the chaos of the game. You make it unpredictable, which is the secret sauce of the game, as I have stated before. Yeah.
It's not really secret if you talk about it all the time. Didn't you watch Fight Club?
Those men were terrorists, Logan.
True. Well, one of them was, sure. Well, now that we've kind of bitten off that weird little bit of jerky, let's talk about where they're going. I know that we've had the opportunity to kind of jump into like the potential for Lottie's request. We're going to respect that, but we've got an idea of what they're doing with season 18. They've been talking about it for a while. We've got basically 3 weeks. By the time the next Gold Hoarder episode comes around, there's a good chance we will probably be into season 18, where they're going to be focusing more on the Roar and what's going on with the Dark Ancients. So I'm curious if any of you, just to kind of get a gauge, with locations and destinations being number one on the survey list. Actually, did I get a chance to give everyone an opportunity to talk about that list? Was there anyone that wanted to say anything about the survey results before we switch over? Okay. I kind of want to get an idea. How many of you like the Roar?
Yes.
I don't mind it. I just don't spend a lot of time there because outside of a voyage, there's really nothing to do.
Yes.
It's okay. Like, it's good to hit Pirate Legend, but once you've hit Pirate Legend, you really just don't visit it very much, apart from if you're following someone there.
It could use some improvements, be they environmental or anything else, to be honest.
So I guess with that being the case, oh, sorry, Carl, did you have anything you wanted to jump into?
I was just going to say that Molten Sands Fortress is probably one of my favorite forts, and I've said it many, many times, and I'll probably continue saying it, but it definitely needs more love because it's such an unusual fort. There's so much more to it. It's such a big area, and it's such a shame to see such a really good layout fort with already the volcanic eruptions going off and stuff like that around you, as well as the geysers. It's a shame that there's not more for it, and I've not seen too much about season 18 yet, to be honest. I've not listened to the podcast, so I need to do a bit of catching up on that, but I definitely feel that it's been crying out for some love and some attention for some time outside of just, oh, you've got the same event, the same quest, however, we've just given a bit of an ashen curse, basically. So I'm hopeful that Molten Sands Fortress becomes very similar to what the current Fortress comes. High level loot, ashen loot, and I don't think you need to make it much more difficult, to be honest, because I think a lot of people find it difficult anyway. Just make it worthwhile and let it pop up when people aren't there.
I appreciate all that. I know for myself, I like the Roar. I think the Roar is a really interesting place to go and visit. I think the danger of the volcano it was really fun when it first came out because you had the opportunity of getting attacked because everyone was out there working on the commendations. So people would stroll up to you, and if the volcano was about to go off, or if there was one that was going off, there was always that bit of a gamble sailing through it because some people would sail around it, and if you sailed through it, you could effectively get away from someone by trying to make sure, hoping that Rare was on your side and you didn't get hit by a meatball and lose your mast. And it was always just kind of the interesting like environmental play. It's like sailing through a storm or sailing through the fog or sailing next to an empty fort and using the cannons. There's always that kind of like environmental play that Hammer, you mentioned that you enjoy that kind of chaotic aspect of Sea of Thieves when it comes to Hourglass. I always appreciated it in the Roar because you could never tell like what was going to happen when there were a bunch of people out there sailing around trying to work together or not work together, or waiting for someone to get hit by a volcano and then sailing in to try and finish them off. It was interesting. It was a different time. I'm kind of curious to see what they decide to do with it. Well, did anybody have any other thoughts or anything that they wanted to jump into with that? All right. Well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm willing to bet that in a couple weeks we'll start to get a little more news about that. So we'll probably have something to talk about next episode for sure. I'm genuinely curious to find out what Rare's plan is for season 18, having seen the feedback on season 17 with the smugglers runs and what they anticipated to be a well-received addition to the game ended up falling flat with most of the community. I for myself, I still love the fact that the skeleton ships are easy to take out right now, mostly because they're an annoyance. And when I can grapple to one from my ship and light the keg, jump, and then still die, but at least, I know that the ship is sunk. It's nice to get that knocked out real quick and not have to worry about a skeleton ship on my tail as I'm trying to do stuff. But I am looking forward to seeing how they approach the 3-act style with season 18, knowing that maybe some of the bigger stuff needs to be front loaded at the beginning of the season, and then maybe we can have a little break in the middle before we finish strong. Does anyone think that's a bad idea? Or would you prefer to have that slow, gradual build throughout a season? Or would you rather have everything cool up front and then kind of slowly let things go towards the end of the season?
I believe this approach is still the best one. It's having it spread out just gives you more to do over a long period instead of front loading everything, blasting it out in 1 month and then having nothing for the next two. I think they have to do a little more thinking about the events that they do in the second month. I think what was great about the events in the adventures, specifically the two adversarial adventures, is that they were working. You had to participate in it to work towards your side's conflict point. Obviously, that's not going to work every single time, but it incentivized you to continue to do it over the course of the 2 weeks instead of just like doing it once and then you're done. They gotta work out some incentive for you to continue to do it over the course of a month instead of just one night you're good. But otherwise, I like the focus that they do where it's start with adding to the sandbox, then a event in the middle of the month, followed by it was narrative, right?
It was like
Narrative is what
a
they wanted to
revamp
do in
of
there.
older stuff.
Revamp of older content. That's what it was. Yes. Yes, I like that. I think they did good in the last season. I'm pretty positive now that we're at the end of it. I said I wouldn't judge the season until it had all come out, and I'm pretty positive on it. There was the middle, which I thought was going to be the strongest part of the season, ended up being weaker than I was hoping, but it was made up for the fact that the Reaper Fort right now is pretty damn fun. But yes, I still think that this experiment with the way seasons are structured right now is worth continuing on for a few more seasons just to see how it works out. And if it ends up being a bust, they'll change it again. But so far, I'd say so good.
Awesome. Sam?
Can I just add with how the season act is going? I think it's really I like what they're moving towards and how they're starting to do in acts. But what I would say as a bit of a not as a warning because that sounds threatening, but like as a thing for next time, maybe put a little bit more than just one quest in, because that one quest, once you've done it and it's like meh, then it gets pretty boring. That's all I would say.
I would agree. Anyone else have anything they want to add?
Yeah, I would say that overall, they are starting to actually listen to the community and what our opinions are, and they're doing trial and error on maybe bringing things back, such as quick swap that they ended up taking out, and now they're going to implement again. I'm curious to see how that's going to be implemented in production, because I have tested it in insiders. It's good, but you also die quicker. So food really isn't a big thing. You don't have time to eat with that being back in the game. So I'm curious to see what they have to give us moving forward. But all in all, I think it's positive direction.
Get me started on the time to kill. It was one of my first conversation pieces that I posted online, and everyone harped on me about how it didn't matter.
It's not going to matter when they bring it back. Like, food is not going to be a big thing anymore. You're just going to die quicker.
Yeah, which I think kind of defeats the point of making it that short of a time frame.
What I would add to that, though, is you have to remember that there's only going to be a certain amount of people who will doing the quick swap. There'll still be a lot of people who still use a sword. There'll be a lot of new players who don't even know what quick swap is. So I think it's only when you get to the sweaty crews, and to be honest, most of the sweaty crews are probably going to kill me before I get food anyway. So
yeah, I'm more worried about the sword at this point, because the sword it kills me every single time. You get stunned, that first stun, and you can't get out of it even if you try to block it. I've died so many times, and so for me, I'm just more worried about the sword. I'm not really worried about the quick swap because I can dive and dash through it.
Well, I think the issue with the quick swap is that it affects all weapons. So you have a flintlock, or you have an eye reach shot, you hit that, and then you can just as quickly swap to a sword, close the distance, and actually get a kill.
Well, they were supposed to fix that shoot blunder thing, but that's still in the game too, where you can shoot, cancel, and blunder somebody in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think either way, you're going to have options as a player. It's just what you choose to use,
Yep. And I think that's something we'll have to kind of see. I think that's why I think that the insiders is going to be integral, because I think one of my biggest concerns was with people actually using the quick swap, time to kill is going to get dropped by a significant amount. Sea of Thieves pirates don't have enough health to compensate for that sort of fast swap. So I think the fix there is to give players more health. Same food values, but more health.
Yeah, I think that could be a fix for that, for sure. Or give us different food options, make the food a little bit more, like the megalodon meat, like higher tier food.
I feel like the food is fine. I think we have enough variety. I think the trouble for me is that if you can't eat it, it doesn't matter how good the food is.
Yeah, exactly. So health bar needs to be increased.
Yeah, that's I think the balance on the time to kill is the factor that should be tweaked more, not how fast you can swap weapons. But that is a whole debate that I could go into with PvPers at some point as well too. But I think that is going to wrap it up for this episode. We're getting close to time. So with that, Pirates, I appreciate you guys' time spent here with me. So let's go down the list and say goodbye to everyone, and then we'll get out of here. So top of the list, A-Chick, thanks for joining with me. I appreciate your conversation as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you. Godhammer, thanks for jumping in. Anyone you want to shout out or anything you want to say as we head out?
As always, the crew, Tengu, Wailing Witch, Rainbow Sam, you're my rocks. You guys are great. And again, to Chick for having me back on the stream. It was great. Thank you very much.
Anytime, Godhammer. You're more than welcome.
Next up, we've got Carl Embo Family Gaming. Carl, anything you want to say or shout out as we head out?
Yeah, pleasure to be here again, as always. The only thing I'd say is if you have yet to do Lottie's request, highly recommend going and checking it out. Something very much worthwhile doing. Other than that, obviously, as I mentioned last time, Stopfest tickets are now on sale, which is taking place in Warsaw, July 10th and 11th next year. Very much looking forward to meeting a lot of people there and hopefully get a good turnout from a few Keelhauled members as well.
Definitely. Hopefully next year, I won't be able to make it, but maybe 2027, I'll get some cash scrapped together for another trip. Regis, we're heading out, buddy. Anything you want to say or shout out?
Not really anything, but just not much. Sorry, I don't have much today.
No, you're
Just
good.
been, busy.
What Regis means to say is that everyone should definitely go check out the Goonies Lego set that just got announced recently.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah, obviously. Sorry.
And the Black Pearl Lego set as well too. Still out and about there. Really awesome sets.
Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me of something about Lego. For my birthday, I've got myself the Lego Going Merry pirate ship from the Lego One Piece live actions Lego set series.
Nice.
It's pretty. I managed to complete it in one day, and it looks great. Like, some people were playing like, oh, it's not One Piece anime, but I'm like, would you rather know Lego One Piece at all, regardless of where it's from? Just
Yeah, sometimes you got to start somewhere first before you get all the cool stuff. I'm doing the same thing with Gargoyles, man. So I'm glad you got it. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you, and sorry for not turning up last time. It just
No problem.
Just early in the morning, I was like, oh, for once I'm gonna sleep in for once.
Not an obligation, man. Everyone shows up if they can. No need for anyone to feel like they have to be here. But it is great to have you all here as well too. And speaking of, see like Sam joining us pretty late in the evening at this point. Sam, thanks for jumping in. Anything you want to say or shout out as we head out?
Shout out to my crew, the Saturday Hourglass crew as well. Godhammer, Rainbow, a few of the other guys in there. And thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Appreciate the conversation. All right, Pirates, that is going to do it. As always, I appreciate your time and your conversation. I love having you all here, and I appreciate that you're willing to spend an hour or so with me every month to kind of get a gauge on what you're all thinking. So with that, Pirates, thank you, I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.